Ladies and gentlemen, this is Clavicular. If you don't know who he is, he's a looks-maxing streamer, and he's an advocate for the quote-unquote black pill. Now, what the black pill entails is that life is essentially centered around looks, appearance, and status, and these factors, you can go to extreme lengths to maximize these, in which they will give you great returns. Like your quality of life will improve far more than if you were to just go to college, get a job. Not exactly go to college, get a job, but it's like you're not following these traditional means because you value looks so much more, right? And he's come under controversy due to the fact that people most likely disagree with a lot of the things he says and the way he acts, his character and whatnot. And I really wanted to make an expose on this character. I really wanted to talk about who he really is, And the reason I did this is because once you come across his content for a bit, you kind of see that he's a little there's a little something off about him, but you can't exactly pinpoint what you dislike about this guy, right? And when it comes down to it, I used to feel like I was like, this is some interesting content, but I can't really put all the pieces together in my head. But when I did think more about it, I really came to these general conclusions, which is why I decided to make this video. Just really going over who he really is, right? So we can first start off with one of his interviews with Santa Cruz Medicinals, right? I would like you to pay attention to how he really presents himself and the information, and I will give more context of other things that are said within this interview and other interviews throughout this video as well. Just so you get the full picture of where I get my takes from.
It's a person who they are. Right. Everything together. So I'm not broadly advocating for any extraordinary means. I'm just saying that it's worth a conversation. I think that it should be in the mainstream, surgery and these extreme options. I just think that it's worth a conversation. Mm-hmm. And I think what you're also trying to do is women get plastic surgery all the time. Right. It's extremely common. And I think you're saying kind of why not men? Is that it's a generalization? Right? Well, I mean, sure, that's an argument. That's not exactly my point. Just because women do something, I don't think that it's really justification. I think the justification is the fact that the bottom 20% of women, or the bottom 80% of women rather, are going for the top 20% of men. Mm-hmm. This disparity is really calling into question what the hell's going on. For sure. You know what I mean? There's definitely an issue there. I would agree with that. So sure, on an individual level, can you learn all these social hacks to get women at a bar when you're below average? And look, sure, but we're talking about mass scale statistics, right? So I'm saying that looks do matter, and looks are an important metric, and that maybe it's just worth considering taking these risks, really. Okay, so let's get
So as you can see within this video, he presents himself in a very calm way. It seems like he's just this is just for helping dudes figure out things that they want to do, and that is earnestly a good intention. But at the same time, you can see within this second one where he was responding to this YouTuber Greg Doucette, you can see an entirely different person, to be honest, when he's talking or in his stream with his stream friend.
Not the destination. The dopamine release when you do get that goal.
Bro's talking about dopamine release. Wait till he fucking tries crystal meth.
I mean, he laughs and jokes around and says, I don't. They're saying, you think you get dopamine from the gym? Wait till you get the dopamine from doing the math.
So essentially, this was a shorter clip, but throughout this video, you learn Clavicular is I guess quote unquote short tempered. He doesn't care about the journey, the destination, etc. Right? He just wants results. He doesn't really value what it takes to get there. And that is one of the points that he goes over. But I have an entirely different point that does this is someone telling his little young streamer audience to wait till you guys try crystal meth, or I hate going to the gym. I don't like spending times in the gym. The first 100 times blah 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 to roller coaster. It's just, you can see how by the way he claims certain things in this video, I'm just trying to help young men. I'm just trying to help young men, and then he has these pretty adverse takes in this video, pretty it's out there takes that aren't really, it doesn't really seem like it adds up. What he's presenting here is not really shown in the way he's responding within this video to this YouTuber Greg Doucette, right? So I would like to also go past we've learned that his character is semi two-faced. It's kind of he has two different quote-unquote sides. We can't really classify him entirely as this earnestly good person that he presents himself in this interview. There's clearly a second side to this. So where can we go to search and think deeper about what type of person really is Clavicular? We could go into his goals. All right, so one of the things Clavicular wants to do is he wants to get a double jaw surgery, which is to enhance this face even more. Now, objectively speaking, he's good looking, and I think people can tell that. And his height, 6'2", he wants to quote unquote ascend that to 6'4" by getting limb lengthening surgery. Now the procedures of that surgery is that they're going to break your bones and stretch them and mold them and whatnot, and you're not really going to be able to walk for a whole year. So he's going to be 6'6", which is, I think, inherently excessive, and also limping around, right? So let's bring this to let's compare this to how he states something in this interview, with Matan Evan.
Autism, essentially. This is when you get not autism. Autism, will really.
He was hard maxing.
Yeah, I know, but he was about it. You want to be an autist, but you're hard maxing.
Right. So essentially, the context of this is he's asked to rate this dude who has injected synthol into his body, right? And synthol is, well, obviously you can see this guy went too far. He looks like very uncanny, right? And this guy's like, well, context for Clavicular is apparently he was autistic at 14. He got into the internet searching. He did a lot of quote unquote research, right, to learn about looks maxing and read papers and etc. And he's apparently doing things quote unquote the right way, while this guy on synthol is apparently like just an idiot. He's gone too far. He's injecting synthol. He's getting diminishing returns, essentially, right? So I think when I bring up this graph here, which I will call the looks versus life quality graph, I think it's going to become very obvious, why Clavicular's take here is inherently ironic, and how, when you're relating this to his goals are, hypocritical and also ironic, according to his statements, right? So this 1 to 10 is, I guess, your objective quote unquote looks scale, So if you're a 1 and you make like a 5% difference in your looks quality, your quality of life is earnestly going to jump up pretty high, right? There's that. Now, this is comparatively different to like if you were an 8. If you were an 8 and you made a big difference in your looks, right? Like the same 5% difference here, like 5 and 5. The thing is, it's not as exaggerated as this logarithmic curve, but the thing is, for someone going from a 1 to a 2 versus an 8 to a 9, there's going to be a greater difference with 1 to a 2, or a 3 to a 4, or a 5 to a 6. At a certain point where we reach Clavicular's quote unquote level, which I can say he's done a pretty decent job to get where he is. He probably went somewhere from I guess a 5 probably before, so like an 8 now, right? But within the confines of his goals, he wants to go from an 8 to, as he claims in this one or one of the interviews, he wants to become the 99th percentile. So he wants to reach 9.9. Now, can't the same logic be said about this synthol person, right? Like this guy who's on synthol, he's excessively like a 4, and maybe in wherever he's from, he's perceived as like an 8. And when he gets his synthol surgery, he's trying to make like slight diminishing, like he's trying to get himself even higher by excessive means, right? And the thing is, at a certain point, he's reached diminishing returns where it doesn't have an effect. Now that's not because he didn't do, like, he's already so good. It's actually because he did the wrong thing and went backwards, and I guess that's what Clavicular is complaining about. But it's a double-edged sword, because the way Clavicular wants to break his bones to go from 6'2" to 6'6" is essentially like a lot of risk just to push yourself a tiny bit in this direction where your life quality does not increase that much vertically, because 6'2" is already 92nd percentile, right? The need to go from 92nd to 99th is not, it's like, it's greed, it's too much, right? We can come down to that, and we can really say that he calls himself an objective logical person. We can just say that this is in no way objective or logical. Same thing with the double jaw surgery. Like if you see this guy who has I do have a marker, has a decent jaw, decent cheekbones and everything, his eyes are positively tilted, blah blah blah, all the ratios and bullshit, right? Like if this guy is like, oh, I want to take it like 10 steps further and get this double jaw surgery and then get a double dick surgery, right? It's like he's just essentially trying to look like this uncanny like alien, bro. This uncanny alien who's gonna have like negative marginal returns. Like it gets to a point, right? And that's where this graph really comes in, bro. He's trying to go from like here to here where the life quality increase is so minimal. Essentially, it would be more interesting. He even states in one of his interviews, if his surgery gets botched, it would even be better for his career if he started going backwards and he became even uglier, as some sort of result. And what we can really gather from this is, for someone who claims himself as logical, right? Who claims that he's like being a good advocate for young men and for men who see that the dating scene is so unfair because, women only go for the top 20%. The things he's doing is very inherently stupid, essentially, right? With his height decision, with his double jaw decision, you know, because as he stated, he's already slept. His body count is already in the 3-digit figures. You know, it's like the reason for him, you know, going further is because he wants to even elevate his status further as a man, dude. I mean, this is not like this is an oddity and an obsession more than, you know, what he's really putting on in this video, the front that he's claiming to be, right? So, you know, when it comes down to it, another thing within this interview is he really presents himself. He's like, I'm giving out good information. This information that, you know, people should consider surgeries if their jaws are like recessed, right? This is good because it teaches young guys, you know, well, there's hope for him in the future. Like, he doesn't have to give up on his looks. And we can come down to it is that he's saying that the reason he's fallen under controversy is because people always misinterpret his quote-unquote genius information, right? People take that and they do the wrong things with it. He's saying people don't know how to use steroids, which is why they shouldn't be using steroids at 14, because he's the only one who knows how to do it right, how to healthily take steroids. And it's the point is, when he's trying to, you know, do these little things like grow to 6'6" to have even quote unquote more presence, or, you know, elevate his looks with a double jaw surgery, it comes down to he said he was trying to do this because he wants to elevate his status, right? So he wants to grow more, he wants to become more famous, right? So if he's saying, you know, that he wants to help guys, right, and he doesn't want more stupid people to misinterpret his information, the fact is he should really be posting this in some sort of like looks maxing elite journal for like dudes in their 20s, right? He shouldn't be posting this. Like, he's trying to be a Kick streamer, dude. Like, who watches Kick? A bunch of children, a bunch of kids from like age 12 to 16. So when he's trying to quote unquote grow his audience, he's just trying to spread more of his dangerous quote unquote information that can be misinterpreted to more people. This isn't a genuine, earnest way of going about things, right? Like, if he's trying to do the right thing, because he's like, the problem is people misinterpret my stuff, so I'm going to do all these things to grow my audience so that I can have a bigger audience of more children and more widespread reach, so that I can, you know, give more information out to more people. But then at the same time, more people are going to misinterpret what I'm saying and, you know, botch themselves, right? It's his goals are essentially hypocritical to what he's, you know, really what he's advocating himself to be, you know. And you can't really trust a character like that, because he's just only saying what's really convenient to him, right? So it really does come down to, you know, when you think about this, why is he doing this? You know, is it for the status? Yes, it is for the status. It is for his personal gain over the gain of all the other men. He's not really trying to be like, oh, young men, you need this information. You know, this is just to help your day be better. I'm not telling kids on my little Kick stream to snort crystal meth and stop going to the gym. I'm not spreading these negative influences. It's not that. It's not the image he puts up, right? I think what it really does come down is to like a deep-rooted insecurity, bro. Like, when you're like born and you're not really like satisfied with the way you are, like he said, he was on the internet from a very young age, and looking at like attractive people like this guy over here, you know, always seeing this, and always he was conditioned to believe, you know, looks are super important, right? Looks and status and everything, this is all so important, right? So this just kept making like a young kid more insecure. When he was a teenager, he just became more and more insecure, right? So this insecurity always sticks with someone throughout their life, you know, when it's in their developing phase. So when he's trying to climb up and he's reached a pretty good point, honestly, in terms of looks, height, etc., he wants to do more, because that insecurity will always be in the back of his head, that, you know, this insecurity can never be satisfied whatsoever, right? Like, when we talk about the things he's already done, like quote unquote take crystal meth or start TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, when he was 14, you got to ask yourself, like, how insecure do you have to be to hop on testosterone right when you start puberty? You know, he's not even trusting his own body's like natural mechanisms. He's like, I need to exacerbate this to such a high degree, because he just can't even trust his body to, you know, get him right. And he's gonna say, and he's gonna cope and be like, it was a smart decision on my end, and I tried to do it, and, you know, other people can do this and become smart too. You know, other people can be just as insecure as me and start testosterone when they're 14 and not have a normal fucking puberty, and, you know, and they can be smart too. He's essentially trying to use like his insecurity as a way of being like, but other people can do it too, and they can become super great like me. Come on, guys, look at my bones. Look at the way my bones protrude out from my face, right? It's like, this is absolutely not what you should be presenting, right? So when it really comes down to it, I feel like he's not logical. That has been easily debunked, and you know, he does what he's saying is honestly cope for just his insecurity deep down, and this is all his preachings is just, you know, a little front for you know, trying to put himself in a good light. Like, he presents himself as a better person here than he is with his stream boyfriend. Oh, okay, yeah, with his little stream boyfriend, right? So at the end of the day, can I really blame him? No, this isn't really a problem with this particular YouTuber. Is the only bad offender who is a negative influence on Gen Z and a bunch of kids who are, you know, scouring the internet, right? Who have access to Kick and Twitch, whatnot, right? This is just a problem with all Gen Z influencers. We have Neon, we have Nina Lin, you know. It's not like this is a once in a blue moon occasion that only one bad guy exists, you know, only one stupid, young, immature person exists, right? It's a big thing. So when it really comes down to it, why did I do this? Is because I feel like this is just one of those cases where, you know, some people kind of have a mixed opinion. Honestly, I can see how one would think that, you know, it's like, oh no, he kind of is advocating for young men. Look at the way he presents himself in this interview, you know. And what happened to this dude is this dude was like, yeah, you know, you and me are not so different. You're just more extreme about that. That is not good. Like, this guy essentially just got baited by his demeanor into thinking he was a better person than he really is, you know, right? So, you know, am I making this video because my penis is 2 inches long and I know it's not going to get any longer? Yes. Am I making this video because I'm really chopped and ugly? Yes. And am I going to upload it anyway? Yeah.